NATO countries are set to meet early next week after 3 Russian fighter jets entered Estonian airspace without permission on Friday. The incursion, which lasted for 12 minutes, has prompted consultations on Article 4 of the NATO treaty, which can be invoked if a member feels that its territorial integrity, political independence or security is threatened. Poland also reported that 2 Russian jets approached a drilling platform in the Baltic Sea at low altitude, violating a security zone. It marks the second time in just over a week that Russian aircraft had entered Poland's airspace. Now let's hear more on this from DW's Russia Analyst Konstantin Eggert. Konstantin, these airspace incursions, is that a real threat or is it just deliberate provocation?
Well, every provocation in such situation, Gerhard, is a threat, especially judging by the reports, because the Russian planes were flying without transponders switched on and without communicating with ground control. So it was deliberate. 12 minutes is a long time to be in other countries' airspace, not an accident. And in such circumstances, yes, there could be accidents, actually. So yes, it is dangerous, but the main goal of this is not military. It is political. It is these provocations, like the drone overflight over Poland, is to show NATO's weakness, lack of coordination, and what is especially important for the Kremlin, to show that Western allies in NATO do not really care, can't really be bothered with defending NATO's eastern flank, i.e. the Baltic states, Poland and Finland.
Now, is it really just political, or is the Russian military also learning something about Western responses?
Well, of course they do, Gerhard. But what I mean is that it's not the main goal of such provocation. I think that Estonian air defenses are, well, fairly weak, let's put it like that. Estonia does rely on NATO forward presence, which means like other allies deploying troops and aircraft to the Baltic states to protect them. And in this case, we've seen the Italian jets being scrambled. But I think the conclusion, if I may, play a psychoanalyst on air. The conclusion the Russians will make is that essentially they can continue doing that they were not shot down, they were not decisively overturned, they were not decisively overtaken, intercepted. So I think we're in for more of this stuff.
DW Russia analyst Konstantin Eggert there. Thank you very much, Konstantin.
Thank you.
Thomas Wiegold is one of Germany's leading defense analysts. Earlier, I asked him whether Russia is gaining any tactical information from incursions into NATO airspace.
Yes, most definitely. If you look at the map the Estonian Defense Ministry published this morning, you see that the Russians stuck close to the international airspace. So the incursion was, you might say, limited. It was not a flight path directed to the capital, Tallinn. It was just along the border. And that means Russia wanted some kind of deniability, which they do. They claim they never entered Estonian airspace. And on the other hand, they gather information. How long does NATO take for a reaction? Italian F-35 fighter jets scrambled to intercept the Russian fighters. And how long this takes is a valuable information for Russian military.
Now, also both sides are currently learning very quickly, for example, when it comes to drones. How much is this war changing the military?
Well, it's changing in partially only because there are new technologies, new tactics, but still both sides, and I'm afraid the West even more, is trying to adapt. The Russians from the battlefield in Ukraine have learned a lot from Ukrainian tactics. The Ukrainian used to be leading in the deployment of drones. Now it seems the Russians are getting the upper hand. And when it comes to other theaters, the Russians definitely have more ideas how to deploy drones, other unmanned vehicles, and surprising the West sometimes.
Do you think that NATO is learning fast enough?
Well, the verdict is still out, and hopefully NATO will learn fast enough. It's about money, which they do have now for these problems. It's about the mindset, and they're still learning.
The journalist and military expert Thomas Wiegold there. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.